it's really causing a lot of problems in my new relationship by having this tie to my past.
Oh, I am so sorry that the first man that got you knocked up, you still have a lifelong relationship with.
I own a home. I purchased it 5.5 years ago. I purchased it because I was pregnant with my son. And at the time, my son's father and we were just dating. We never married. I somehow got him on the deed of the home unknowingly at the time that's what was happening. I asked the lender if he could be on the house in some way. She added him to the deed. I did not realize that until 2 years in when I refinanced my house. And we were, at the time, ending our relationship. He moved out, and he has held the deed over my head since then and will not take his name off. So it's been a few years since we've separated, and we went through custody court, and he told me that if I gave him full custody of our son, he would take his name off the house, and I would owe him no money. And then we had another mediation, and he said if I paid him $100,000, then he would take his name off. So I'm going to pay him to get off the house, but what I'm trying to understand is how much does he actually get? What is a fair offer? I know
that's up to you and the lawyers. I mean, there's no math formula here. You know, what did he put down with the house?
Okay, I'm going to jump in. First off, this is, I think her name's Amber. My screen's cutting off some of the letters. I think this is Amber in Houston, Texas. First off, these types of questions, it seems to me, should be second to the fact that you have a child with this guy. And as Dave Ramsey would say, you are playing house. And so long as you were playing house, everything was fine. But then when you didn't want to play house anymore, and we don't know who ended the relationship, but if statistics hold true, okay, it's something like 80% of relationships are, ended by women. So I'm trying to figure out why all of this wasn't addressed in detail before you purchased the house, but even more so perhaps before you got pregnant. It's kind of like welcome to the adult world, adult games, you get to deal with adult prizes. Before George answers, I'm going to say he's entitled to 50%. And when she says at the beginning, I think she said something like, he somehow or another ended up on the deed because I told my realtor to make sure that he was on there or something. I'm paraphrasing here, okay? Well, how else would he be on there? I mean, what else is she supposed to do? Now, if you really think she's fraudulent, then I guess you could sue the realtor, but you're going to have a tough time backing that up due to the fact that this call has now been there, okay, with today's call. But even so, if the realtor has documentation, hey, you know what you said to make sure he got a part of the house, you can't pull out of the game now just because you don't want to play it anymore. He's entitled to half. At least from what I can tell. And here's the thing, folks. If you're going to play house and you're going to buy a house, always remember that when the relationship ends, the person that you were playing house with gets, I think, I'm not an attorney, but it seems to me that they have as much say as you do in the house. At least if you have someone move into your house and it doesn't work, then, perhaps it's easier to, get rid of them. But then you have to be careful of things like, what is it? After 30 days, someone can claim legal residence in your home, that it is considered their home. And then the only way to get them out is through eviction. You got to think about this stuff. So I hope she's not turning around now and going, well, I don't want to play house anymore. And now I don't want him to have anything. And believe me, his saying basically, what was it? He goes, if you give me, this is a lot for me to remember sometimes, okay? If you give me custody of the child or whatever, then I'll relinquish. I think when we start using the kids as the pawn, that's not mature of either side. So I don't admire him if he's trying to use the child as a pawn. Children should never be used as the pawn for, adult arguments.
When you guys bought it?
Nothing.
So he put down nothing. Did he make half the mortgage payments?
He did make half the mortgage payments for the 2 years he lived there, and he helped pay the taxes for those 2 years.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Sorry, I'm going to interrupt them. But here's the thing. She asked to have him put on the deed. So what she is saying is that, and again, I'm not a lawyer, okay? But I'm thinking if you told the attorney to make sure that he has some sort of asset and the attorney puts him on the deed, young lady, Miss Amber in Houston, Texas, you signed off on the paperwork. It's not like the realtor just snuck him on there and, with the witch's cackle and put him on there. No, he had to be put on there. And then if I'm correct, according to how I signed off on my condo, all right, everybody had to sign off. And especially if she's supposed to be the dominant person in the home ownership, wouldn't you think she would have really made sure those, I's were dotted and those T's were crossed? So when she says, I don't know how we got on there, well, it's because she wasn't thinking.
What I would
I
do.
have offered him, I offered to pay, he put in about $24,000, but he wants $100,000. He said, I will not take anything less.
Yeah, well, I want to be able to dunk a basketball. There's a lot of things I want in life that I'm not going to get.
He doesn't get to decide.
This guy's just a low life.
How do we know he's a low-life, family? How do we know he's a low-life? We don't, so oftentimes, and you've heard me many, many times, folks, we're only hearing one side. Okay, we're hearing one side. So we're going to jump to the conclusion that this guy is a low-life because the woman that he was with, that they created a child together, she don't want to be with him anymore. So that automatically makes him a low-life. It's like when they break up and all of a sudden he's just this most worst, horrible, awful abuser. I'm not saying that stuff doesn't go on. Don't get me wrong. But all of a sudden, every guy that any woman didn't want to be with anymore, oh my gosh, he just is a mental abuser. Again, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. It does. But the problem is when we can't take personal accountability for our actions in the decisions that were made, and we just defaulted to that person is the low life, that person is the loser, the abuser, yada yada. Okay, then we actually hurt people who are really in that situation, that really are dealing with people who truly are low lives, people who really are, he's mentally, emotionally abusive. It's kind of like it's become the catch-all phrase for any time we don't want to be with someone anymore, especially when women don't want to be with that guy anymore. So she's no victim. She is reaping what she sowed when she made a rash decision to have a baby by a man she was not married to, all right, and then chose to play house. These are the consequences. That doesn't make him a lowlife any more than it would make her an irresponsible parent.
He's an absolute scumbag.
Yeah. So
how do we know this? I don't know if he's a scumbag. I've never talked to the guy. Maybe she's the scumette and figured out a way to get herself pregnant. Don't think that don't happen either. Don't think that does not happen. We just don't know. We don't know.
So I said I think it's a fair offer that I give you what you put in.
Has the house appreciated?
Yes, it has. I bought it. It was $300,000. Now it's worth about $425,000.
Okay.
She does not make good decisions. She does not make good decisions that allow her to think long term. What is it that Dave says, or what's that quote? I think Dave says it. Something about adults don't think with their emotions, so to speak. I want to use an appropriate term as this is a family channel, but Dave says something about along the lines of, adults don't use emotion. Okay. They try to think with their logic. I can't think of the phrase. If anybody remembers it, stick it in the comments. Okay. They don't think in terms of what's just pleasurable. Okay. But they actually think with what's logical. If we want to say he's a lowlife, then she's not much brighter herself. And if like attracts like, you see my point there?
And after all of your fees, maybe the lawyers decide, all right, he's going to get part of the appreciation on top of what he put in, but no more than that.
But here's the kicker. Because he's on the deed, I'm not sure. Again, maybe somebody put in the comments if you know any of the legalities around this. But here's my thinking. He's on the deed. I am not sure if a lawyer can force him in a settlement. If anyone knows, please put it in the comments. Can a lawyer force the boyfriend to take a settlement? Can he force it? I would love to know that if anyone knows.
Well,
which is not
the whole thing is
$100,000.
He's only put in 24. I put together a very detailed spreadsheet. I put down the down payment, the earnest. I've paid everything to get into the home.
Is your name on the mortgage solely now?
Yes. He was
Okay.
never on the mortgage.
Okay.
Which is almost worse. Basically, you took on the responsibility financially of the house and just made him a partner. Oh, he got good snacking. Yeah, that's good eats. You know what I mean? Yeah, he don't even have to pay the mortgage. Look, she only has herself to blame because it's now that she wants to look at the details. It's now that she wants to look and control the fine print. It doesn't work that way. But again, I really would like to know, can an attorney force her to take it? Or if he refuses to be taken off the deed, could she actually be forced to sell the house? And then how much control does she have over selling the house? I tell you, people, just don't do it with, don't buy property with someone you're not married to. Just don't do it. It's even better if you just move in with someone, fine, move in with me, but go out and buy a piece of property together, but don't each take full accountability for it. Okay? When the party was good, she wanted him on it.
He was only on the deed, but he's holding it over me, and he says, if you're nice to me, I'll take my name off. If you're mean to me, I'm not going to. And it's...
Oh, wait, sort of like women do? This is when I wish I had my soundboard, be giving myself a round of applause for this. Yeah, kind of like women do. Yeah, oh, come on, ladies. You know it. You know it. I'm not saying you do it. I'm not saying you would do it. What I'm saying is women do that. You do this for me, then I'll do that. If you don't do this for me, then I'm not going to do that.
It's been this back and
Amber,
forth.
yeah,
and
that's what I want to dive into for just a moment. The psychology of this.
Yeah.
Other than just closure and what you shared so far, is he being on this deed at this moment causing you any other real grief or problems in life?
Yes,
What?
it is.
How?
Well, because I want to move forward. I'm in a new relationship, and we're planning on getting engaged. And, it's really causing a lot of problems in my new relationship by having this tie to my past.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I need my soundboard. Oh, I am so sorry that the first man that got you knocked up, you still have a lifelong relationship with. I am so sorry. Yes, my deepest heartfelt apologies. And you just want to move your life forward ever so conveniently. And you want to brush off anything in the past. Well, then you should have done that before he knocked you up. Or at least when he did knock you up, you should have been married, because then a court could easily, if I'm correct, again, I'm no legal expert, a court could then start having more power to be able to force, either the sale of the house or something like that. Lady, honestly, I'm glad to see this, because I think so oftentimes we blame men unfairly for going, and they just want on to the next relationship, and, they don't want to, finish raising the kids that they have. Right? Now, it's different if the kids are full grown. Okay, so I'm thinking of, minor children that you still have a responsibility to raise. Well, this is the woman's version of it, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. It's just the woman's version of it. She's like, I'm tired of this first relationship. I got my new beau, and I just want to move on. Well, life don't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And now she just wants to discard him.
And so...
I was going to tell you to
Yeah.
wait him out a little bit, because I think this guy's just a scumbag, and I think he's trying to bully you, and I think...
Yeah.
He is not bullying her any more than she would bully him if the tables were turned. He is not bullying her any more than she probably has already bullied him. And how do I suspect? Just that ever suspicion that I think maybe there has been a little bit of bullying going on. Maybe bullying's not the correct word, but all I know is she's not the innocent angel she's trying to come across as. Look, she's already on to her next relationship. She got the ex-boyfriend and a baby with him, and now she's ready to go to the next one. So you tell me, what type of person does that, kind of make you think of?
I think
100%.
I think there's two tactics here. You just go scorched earth and come with all the records and get in front of a judge and let the judge decide. I think that's probably the one. I was gonna suggest maybe you wait him out a little bit, but with this new relationship going on, it's
We need to get him
you
out
need
of
to
here.
get this guy off and clean him up.
So here's the
Yeah.
deal. We can't help. You're going to need to get in touch with your lawyer. Do you have one?
I've talked to 3.
Okay.
And they told me that we could go and send him a demand letter. And I told him I was going to get an attorney. And he said, I hope that you do. And I hope we spend every dollar in equity to pay for these attorneys and you get nothing.
Okay, before we all get mad, before we all start running, with the pitchforks, on this channel, for those who are new, okay, I defend men. Probably more than I do women on this channel. I know it is what it is, but if you've been following this channel, it's because I believe my father should have gotten custody of all 4 girls, hands down, over my late mother, Lord rest her soul. The custody should have gone to my father. And I'm glad that down the road 2 of my siblings did go to live with my father, okay? But that aside, what he is doing is what men put up with all the time from women. It's just, I think we find it socially less acceptable because it's coming from the woman. But come on, folks. Women, we do this to men all the time. Again, I'm not saying it's you, princess, okay? I'm not saying it's you. But this game, this back and forth game of who can have more power, women typically have more power in a divorce when there are minor children involved, just for the fact that they are the women. So she clearly does not think through her actions. And it seems to me that, and I could just be jumping here, this isn't the first time she's treated a guy like this. This may be the only child she has, but something just instinctively tells me this isn't her first time at the rodeo and how she treats men. That's just my instinct, and I reserve room to be wrong, but I don't think I am. But this tit for tat game that she's doing, women play it to men all the time. It's kind of reversed in this situation. I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't think it's right. But I think we need to look at it and say, yeah, it's not attractive.
Good. Well, when you win, he's going to have to pay the attorney fees.
Yeah.
That's going to be part of this deal. So what you're going to...
See, we're already assuming she's going to win. So his downfall is he does have a child. He is going to have to pay child support. Did my lighting just change on this? Oh, well. I feel like my lights just got brighter. He's going to have to pay child support. But come on, folks. You know how I feel. It's not the innocent woman caller coming in. Nah, this lady's been around the block a few times.
likely go for is a quiet title action, which will resolve this dispute over the property ownership.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, again, I'm not a lawyer, but I would pursue that action. That's the only way to force him to sign something.
Yeah, because I do have a lot of evidence. I mean, when we went through custody court, he would record conversations that we would have that I did not know.
Well, he's pretty smart then. He's no dum-dum. Of course, you got to be careful because in some states, the recordings only count if, you're in one of those states where you can record something and only one person knows. Otherwise, in some states, recordings don't count if both parties were unaware that there was a recording.
And he would talk about the house and said, when I buy my house and I move out, I will sign my name over. So I have a lot of evidence to show that he's very much said he would take his name off and wanted no money, tried to bribe me into giving me giving him full custody of our son.
Oh, that's great.
It's just been,
Wouldn't a woman do the same thing? Would a woman not do the same thing if these shoes were reversed? And she didn't think she could have custody of the child. And there's a house involved. You tell me what extent she wouldn't go to. Oh, yeah, you've got custody of my child. Well, I'm not signing off on that deed, unless I get custody of my child.
been a blackmail.
What are you planning on
situation.
doing with this current guy? You guys going to live in this house? Let's say that you get this ex off of this thing. What's the plan?
Well, I would like to keep my home.
Okay.
It's got great schools. It's a great house.
Okay.
And so we would like to get him off and then, be able to move forward and make decisions
Yeah.
without having to go to closing with him. And
No, I get it. I was just curious.
So what is she going to do? Put the next guy on the house and do the exact same thing she's already done? She's going to probably get pregnant by the new guy? Oh, she could be. Okay, this is one of those women. Men, you got to tread carefully. This type of woman can be a real piece of work. I'm not saying she is, but the potential is there that this woman could be a real piece of work.
Curious.
Yeah.
I was going to go a different direction if the answer was different, but I'm fine.
Yeah, so he has a house and he wants to sell his house and pull the equity out of his, and we want to keep mine. And then
So she's going to have to put him on hers.
and be able to make decisions after that. But yeah, it's just kind of been a headache to
Yeah.
be able to make any decisions with him. So
Yeah.
Well, of course it's a headache because you got a kid together, but that aside, okay, so she's saying that they want to sell his house and put the equity, I guess, towards her house. Here's my sincere piece of advice to this guy that's considering that. Do not sell your property under any circumstances unless you are married. Period. All right? Just don't do it. If you are not married, you do not sell it. Okay? I will sell this place when I'm married and keys to another place are there. Okay? Or the bottom line is you don't sell it. So if she's convincing this dude, hey, you know what? Go ahead and sell your house. Well, we'll put the equity into my house or into whatever. Okay, the guy's as dumb as she is. This little trio thing going on here. Why do I think she's the master manipulator in it all?
Of the 3 lawyers, you need to go back and interview them all one more round, and you need to put them under the microscope of what would you do. Tell me what your next 3 steps are, how much time you think that's going to take. Tell them about his threat to try to draw this thing out, which, by the way, I think he's full of because if he tries to draw you out, he's going to have to pay legal fees. So I wouldn't be scared by this punk. This guy's a punk.
Yeah.
And I'd keep the meticulous records and all the evidence.
All right. I think we got it. I don't know if he's a punk. I don't know if he's a creep. I don't know if he's a lowlife. But I do know one thing. I wouldn't trust her any further than I could throw her. All right, folks. Have a great evening. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you soon. Good night.